From the studios of Community Media, in partnership with the Gettysburg Times, this is Community Focus, a look at what's happening in and around Adams County. I'm Gerry. I'll be your host today, and I'm joined by Andy Andrews and Liz Caples from the Gettysburg Times, and we got some interesting stories to follow and talk about today. So we're going to take a look at a few of those local headlines, and later we'll spend a little more time talking about the historic buildings in Adams County. Thank you for joining us today. So first up, we have the tourism dollars. You have a story about the tourism dollars that fuel Adams County, and I was amazed at the number. Visitors spent more than $800 million in Adams County last year. That's an amazing number. And Destination Gettysburg is working to turn those dollars into more than hotel stays and battlefield trips. How are they working on that? What is more than hotel stays and battlefield trips? To me, the battlefield is what it's all about around here. I love the battlefield. I ride through it constantly and pray through the battlefield. I really love both what God did here in preserving the Union and in eradicating slavery in this country, and just the beauty of the place. It is just a beautiful, beautiful place. So how is Destination Gettysburg working on turning those dollars into more than hotel stays and battlefield trips?
Well, first off, Gerry, the tourism industry, it employs a lot of people and employs our residents. And those tax dollars are generated and help out our community.
And actually, beyond tourism, it helps support businesses, and amenities help support our small businesses.
Yeah. So what are they doing to try to turn those into more than hotel stays and battlefield trips?
Well, Destination Gettysburg also helps out with grants, and they contributed about $75,000 last year to a lot of Adams County nonprofits.
Okay.
And that translates to community events like parades, and this year that was increased to $100,000.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Like, they're the ones that pay for the fireworks, and they're going to pay for this year's Independence Day event.
Destination Gettysburg.
Yep.
Amazing. That's cool. I was more into what kinds of things they do to try to increase that from hotel stays and battlefield trips. You said parades.
Yeah.
Fireworks. What else are they doing that is increasing that or turning that from hotel stays and battlefield trips into what? What is more?
Well, this year they relaunched an initiative called Gettysburg Restaurant Week, and this was after 13 years.
Okay.
And they worked with the Chamber of Gettysburg and Adams County on this, and they had about 24 restaurants, not just in Gettysburg, but in Adams County, and they created special menus to help drive tourism for March.
Wow. That's cool.
And they continue with their themed trails, like they have Adams County Pour Tour, and they have one, the Sweets Trail.
Okay.
And they're coming up with different ideas for trails that kind of get people out beyond Gettysburg.
That's great.
And seeing the rest of the county.
I can't imagine trying to get people out of Gettysburg.
Yeah.
I just saw a headline in the last couple of days that said Gettysburg is the soul of America. And I love that headline. Did you guys come up with that? That sounds like a Gettysburg Times thing to me.
It'd be a lie if I told you, Gerry. No, I'm not much sure where they would have appeared.
I love that idea.
Maybe one of the regional papers. I don't know. I don't remember that.
I love the idea. That's a great idea.
That's good.
Gettysburg is the soul of America.
Well, we partnered with the Destination Gettysburg on the 250th, so we have a lot of 250th involvement.
Okay.
In terms of our Founders and Guardians article by Mike McGuff. The pages we do on the 250th once a month coming up this Saturday this Friday will be a page devoted to the 250th. So there's a lot of 250th things going on.
That's
in addition,
great.
Of course, to the things happening at the battlefield, but then beyond that, we have the Lincoln speech in November. So this will continue on until pretty much the end of the year for the celebration. We're just very proud, very happy to be part of it.
Yeah, the 250th is a huge thing.
Yes.
All over the country is a huge thing, but in Gettysburg, maybe the biggest of all. Probably should be the biggest of all in
There's a
Gettysburg.
lot of events planned. I don't know. We have to figure out what we could make it to, what's humanly possible for our
Yeah.
small staff to get to.
Yeah.
We'll try the best that we can. We'll get the major ones.
So great. I really love what we're doing there. I think it's a really great way for our nation to look backward and sort of reevaluate who we've been and where we've been. I'm really very proud of the fact that Gettysburg was a turning point of the Civil War, and that I was hearing somewhere somebody commented that the battle never got more fierce than when Pennsylvanians were threatened, when their homeland was threatened.
Yeah.
And I love that idea. I love that Pennsylvania stood up. I love the stories of the local people who got involved, and all that is really, really beautiful.
They were
really
riled up to
excellent.
fight. I was wondering, Liz, when's the 1863 movie coming out?
That is supposed to come out later this year.
Yeah, good.
Hopefully in time for the 250th this year.
I hope so.
That'll be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
that tremendously. Got to
Yeah.
watch that as soon as it comes out.
That's great. Very cool. So the tourism dollars that were spent here were spent mostly on the hotels and battlefield trips. Is that a pretty true statement?
And they were also spent at local businesses as well.
Yeah. There just are not enough of those. And I see, just riding through the battlefield, I see tourism year round, which is really amazing to me. I ride through the battlefield in December and January, and I'm amazed to see how many people are out there enjoying the battlefield the best they can, even in those cold temperatures and all of that. Really interesting. And
It's
I think
a
pretty powerful.
contrast. I drive in from Hershey, another tourist town, and Hershey in the wintertime is pretty much bare. It's
Really?
strange. And then summer comes around, and then we get influx of 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people. So Gettysburg's similar to that. It's pretty easy to get around in the wintertime, not a lot of people visiting, but then
Right.
spring, summertime, man, it gets busy.
Yeah, it really does around here, man. The battlefield fills up
Yeah.
with people in a million ways. All right, and next we have Conestoga Valley School District. The school district, which is where all 4 of my children graduated from CVSD. And so it's been huge in my mind and my background in that way. I live here in New Oxford and have really enjoyed CVSD in so many ways. Really good school district. But they are working on renovating. I see in McSherrystown, I see the McSherrystown school, the elementary school is, looks to me like it's doubling or more. I can't tell exactly, but they're putting up some big buildings down there. We're working on it this morning. And they're working on the elementary school here in New Oxford as well, right?
Yes.
I see some additions around here. What are they doing around here in New Oxford?
For New Oxford Elementary, they're going to be doing a big renovation and also an addition. The school, as it currently stands, was built in 1952. I believe it did have another addition on it in the 70s, but other than that, the building's getting old. There's asbestos in there, and they just want to bring it into the 21st century.
They're increasing capacity.
Right.
How many more students are they going to be able to educate there?
I believe a couple hundred.
A couple hundred more?
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Now, I heard before that the New Oxford School District is the only school district in the county that's increasing in numbers of students.
Yes.
So we got a lot of young families in this area, I guess. How many more young families do you know?
I know with increasing developments, especially in Conewago Township, the houses are more family-oriented, while in other areas, a lot of the developments going in are for older folks or 55-plus
I've
communities.
seen that, yeah.
And so there's a big drive for families, and CVSD is a wonderful school district.
It
so
is.
I think that's a pull for families to move here as well.
I hear that. I hear that from families moving in. They say we carefully, I've heard a few families say we've carefully picked this area because of the school district.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a tremendous asset to have a great school in the area that they want to move to. So they're adding $54 million of more space. Is that mostly classroom space?
So that 54 million, it seems like a big figure, but
Yes, it
there's
does.
also a lot of other things, like the school's currently not ADA compliant, so they have to make sure of that. They want to have enhanced security. Now there's so
That's
many
good.
horrible incidents going on,
Yeah.
especially around the United States with these school shootings. And
We need to harden the schools.
you never know.
I like that.
And another thing that's kind of costly is asbestos abatement.
There's asbestos in these schools?
In New Oxford Elementary, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Did not know that. I'm glad they're
Yeah.
abating it. That's good. That's good. When are these projects going to be finished?
In the next 2 to 3 years.
Really? Mm-hmm. They're not going to finish it by fall of this year to get students in?
In a perfect world, yes.
Yeah, it would be.
And they'll be able to open up certain parts of the schools before then.
There's an amazing amount of work happening at Kanawha in the McSherrystown Elementary School. I see an amazing amount of work. There must have been 200, 300 workmen swarming all over that thing this morning when I drove by. So it's incredible the amount of work that they're getting done. Is that also a lot of ADA work in that?
Yes.
That school was built more recently, right?
Yeah, that school was built more recently. It's also not in compliance with ADA currently.
Okay.
And the school's kind of choppy. Like a lot of teachers, over time, the population has expanded since
Yeah.
it was built. But a lot of teachers are teaching out of closets, or that's what
Really?
their office space is.
That can't be good.
Yeah, and they also want to have enhanced security measures.
Good.
Now, one thing they did do is they built on a kindergarten wing in 2011 at Conowanga Township Elementary.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Anything else going into that school we should know about?
Mostly right now, the elementary schools. I mean, they just graduated the senior colonials a couple weeks ago in May. It
Biggest class ever?
was around 300.
Yeah. I don't remember when my children graduated. I don't remember how big the classes were, but I remember they were large. And the size of the school, Conowanga Valley School District grew just in the past 10 years, I believe. Is that right?
I would say more of past 20, but especially in
Okay.
the past 10, it's grown exponentially.
Yeah. Due to all the housing projects going on and all of that, I guess a lot of that is connected there.
Yeah, that would be my guess. And also, like I said, the appeal of the school district.
Yeah. $54 million. I'm expecting to see some pretty amazing
Yeah.
things out of that. That's a lot of money. Okay. So next we have the Hollaball resignation from the Upper Adams School District. That sounds like a big deal happened up there. First of all, Shelley Hobbs unexpectedly resigned as Director of Business Operations, and then Kay Hollaball resigned. They both sound like pretty serious earthquakes up there.
Well, it was a shock to us. It was a shock to the system. It was a shock to the public. It was a shock to the community. I mean, it was something that we didn't expect. And interesting, it came in late because it was midweek that Richard had just wrapped up the Upper Adams School District story. And then he phoned me and said, I have to add something to it because, Kay Hollabaugh resigned. And I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, I've got to add this as a story. So we put that online right away. And he was in touch with Kay. Kay sent him his a letter that explained why she was leaving. I think overall, she was very dissatisfied and disheartened by the direction of the school board. She explained that very clearly in her letter to the editor, which we ran in the paper recently. And it was collectively a lot of things that they were not focused on. I think what traumatized Kay is that there was one meeting they had with parents and the teachers, and they didn't have enough room for the teachers, so she requested they meet again at a different location so she can accommodate everybody. Well, one of the teachers has stood up for so long and eventually passed out, and that's
not good.
I think that traumatized Kay and it traumatized other people in the group.
I can imagine.
So she thought she was turned down to make the change to locate a different facility, which I think was shocking to me. She's got to be concerned for people's health, but I think it's she didn't get into specifics. She didn't her letter did not detail the specifics of what had happened, but she just felt overall that they were going in the wrong direction and she needed to make this change. And unfortunately, I don't know the details about the other resignations, but we knew something was up at Upper Adams School Board because we had a few calls and letters to the editor talking about, check into this. There's something happening. Why there's so many resignations? So we'll continue to follow it. That's Richard Frankie's our staff writer. He covers the Upper Adams School District Board, so he'll be continuing to follow up with this. But on June 5th, the letter to the editor was published by Kay, and it gives the details of. And I think this is also online. You can read her comments about.
I will.
And it's just she's increasingly uneasy regarding the direction of the district. She's hurt. She's trying to make her voice heard, and she's told they don't want to. Basically, they don't want to hear it. And it's she thought the mission for the district should be inspiring educational opportunities and empowering students to be responsible and productive, and college and career ready. And she doesn't think the board members care about that. They're more interested in conducting some business and maybe settling litigation. It was interesting because one of our writers, stringer Scott Pitzer, on the next day, June 6th, had a reporter's notebook talking about the resignation of Kay, who was there for quite a few years. The Hollenbaugh Brothers, enterprise, she's part of that. And increasingly concerned about the lack of direction. These things kind of add up over time, and I think this just got to her. But Scott commented a lot about how concerned they should be about that. We should be shocked that Kay is no longer there. Kay provided fantastic leadership for quite a few years, but she wanted to. She wrote basically the key point. She talks about the loss of key administrators, excessive focus on political controversies, and a board culture where experience appears to be treated like an infectious disease best kept at arm's length. I think that's what Scott wrote about her resignation statement. So
Okay.
So we've had feedback about it.
Were the two resignations with Shelley Hobbs and Kay Hollenbaugh, were they connected?
I'm
Did
not
one
sure.
resignation come because of the other one?
I think no, I don't get the distinct impression that they were connected.
Okay.
I think Kay just brought that up, the fact that there's some disgruntled people on the board, and that she's one of them. But I think Kay was focused on her reasoning why she needed to quit. So
Okay.
it's an unfortunate to have someone with leadership of Kay. It's just very unfortunate that had to happen. So we're still in shock.
I didn't know that she was a major leader at
Oh yeah,
Upper Adams.
and they're very influential, and she has a good eye for what's important, and what's important is allowing students to learn and become career-minded adults and focus on that opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
And that's what she feels. She sees the board thinking about other things.
How does the board plan to fill these two positions? Do you know?
We'll explore that. Richard will get into that later on.
Okay.
Hopefully an upcoming issue.
Okay, well, that sounds good. I look forward to reading it.
We'll continue to follow this. That's
Good.
His beat is the Upper Adams School Board, so he'll be.
Sounds like a little bit of an earthquake.
Yeah. You hope not to see. We're a community newspaper, so we're emotionally attached to what's happening with the community, including Upper Adams School Board. We're trying to get more emphasis on the Biglerville area, more emphasis in that whole region, to see if we can promote what's happening. I guess Biglerville itself has a 250th anniversary coming up soon. I think it's.
How big is that school board? How many members?
You have to ask Richard. I don't have all the details about it, but he would know. He would have some probably details in that. We may bring him back next time. We can maybe follow up with that.
I'll have some questions for him.
Yeah, he's good. He'll answer you.
We'll learn a little bit about Adams County with that. Awesome. Okay, well, next we have a Carroll Valley veteran reflecting on wartime service after D-Day. First of all, he's 100 years old. That's amazing. An amazing guy who's done some amazing things. Serving in D-Day must have been quite an experience. I I can only read and watch movies about it at this point, but what an incredible thing. George Fisenich, did I get that right?
Yes.
George Fisenich was 17 and delivering newspapers when he saw the headline, Allied troops had landed at Normandy. And very shortly after that was drafted into the Army and was on his way to Europe. That's just an amazing thing. And what that generation did, just amazing what they did. Now, I heard earlier you said that George has some specific ideas of how to reach 100 years old.
Yes, George did.
I love the reasons I heard from you anyway. Talk about those.
George is quite a character. I had the
must
pleasure
be.
of interviewing him, and that was amazing just sitting with him. He had some ideas how to reach 100, and the biggest one, he said he lives one day at a time. But then he also had some other
like it.
advice for health. Don't smoke, don't drink, don't overeat, don't exercise, get fresh air.
Nice.
And the last one was stay away from bad women, because that's as
Nice.
bad as drinking.
That sounds great. I love him already. I love him for a lot of things, but what he did in the war was incredible. So what kind of service, what kind of a soldier was he? Tell me about his time in the war.
So George was drafted shortly after he turned 18, later that year in 1944. He was sent to Camp Wheeler in Georgia for basic infantry training.
Okay.
And then he was later assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division's 325th Glider Infantry Regiment. And that was a unit that moved troops and equipment into combat using engineless gliders.
What?
And
Tell
they-
me about that.
So they had about a dozen people in them, and he barely had any flying experience. So
They put him on a glider.
yeah.
He must have gotten flying experience quick.
Oh, yeah. So what he told me was the biggest advantage with the gliders is you land on the ground with your food, your supplies, and your 15 comrades. And the paratroopers, though, they're just scattered all over the place. In other words, you know where you're going to land with the glider.
Each glider, though, only carries one person, right?
He told me his glider carried about a dozen people.
Oh,
So these are pretty big things.
was he a pilot?
No, he was a machine gunner.
Okay. Wow. So he landed, gliders typically landed behind enemy lines? Is that how it worked?
Yes.
He and 12 other guys
Yep.
landed behind enemy lines and did what? What was their role back there?
So their role was to fight the enemy, the Germans, and he recalled being in the air and having Germans shoot at him, but luckily he was never hit.
Wow.
And the gliders, they the service members had a high mortality rate.
I can imagine. That's pretty serious stuff, seems like to me.
Mm-hmm.
But what they did in World War II was a lot of serious stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
A lot of very heavy fighting happened in all of those units. He was an incredible guy. I appreciate him very much. So he's 100 years old and he's doing well today.
Yes.
That's incredible by following his, what were they, five rules?
Yep.
No smoking, no drinking, no bad women. I love them. They're good rules. I live by those rules today. That's good. So that was 1944
Yep.
when he went into the Army. And now he's 100. So there's almost 60 years in there of incredible memories. World War II really changed the culture of the nation. Mm-hmm. And men like him were incredibly valuable and are incredibly valuable to us. How many are left?
So unfortunately, the number is dwindling, and
I can
there's only
imagine.
a handful of World War II veterans left in Adams County. And every day across the nation, that number
A
decreases.
handful here?
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. That's really something.
A couple of them were in the Memorial Day parade this year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Was he in it?
I don't think he was.
Yeah. What an amazing guy. I really love hearing about him and would love to hear much more. I'd love to sit down and hear his stories. He'd be an interesting person to interview, I think.
I told him he should write a book.
He should. Be interesting to read it. Now, last we have the feature story of the historic rural buildings in Adams County. They go back longer than George Fissenich.
Yeah.
Way back. Some of them back into the 1700s. What's the oldest building in Adams County? Do you know?
My knowledge, the oldest building in Adams County was the Conewago Presbyterian Church, which is in Hunterstown.
Amazing. I'd love to see that building. Still intact as it was originally? Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So you did a story on the historic rural buildings.
Yes.
How many historic rural buildings? Do you have any idea?
That exist in Adams County?
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Hundreds, really?
Yeah, maybe even thousands if you count like historic structures as well.
Wow. That's amazing. I pastored Freedom Valley Church for years, right along Route 30, and I had a group of historians stop by there and say that George Washington actually stopped by that location at a tavern that was there in those days. The tavern's long gone. I can't even imagine it there anymore, but they said it was there, and that's really interesting. Some of these buildings go back to that age, right?
Yeah.
How many of the buildings do we have that go back to the 1700s? Do you happen to know?
That's a good question, and I don't know offhand, but I would say a good number of them.
Really? Mm-hmm. Like hundreds?
Hundreds, and the oldest buildings we have around here are churches and taverns.
Yeah? That's interesting. You need churches and you need taverns. You need places for people to eat. And
Hopefully churches were built first.
hopefully. I don't know, though. You need places to sustain life. So the taverns were those things, I guess, even in those days. Really interesting. So how many of those old buildings are still functioning buildings today? Probably most of them, right?
Most of them, yes.
Somebody found a way to function out of those in some way.
Oh, yeah.
Like one of those old buildings would be the restaurant.
Dobbin House?
The Dobbin House has to be one of the old buildings, one of the oldest buildings, I would guess, in Adams County. And their involvement with the Underground Railroad and all of that was incredibly fascinating. But there were other buildings. You found other buildings that were also involved with the Underground Railroad, right?
I did, yes.
How many? Are there many of those?
So in my story, I focused on one. It wasn't so much a building as it was a structure, and that's McAllister's Mill in Cumberland Township.
McAllister's Mill. Where is that?
Do you remember where Mulligan McDuffer's golf course was?
Yeah.
It's out back that way.
Okay.
It's on
Yeah.
private property. There is somebody that lives on the property now. However,
Okay.
the person does allow Historic Gettysburg Adams County to conduct tours there during the summer on Saturdays at 11 a.m.
I love that Pennsylvania was heavily involved in the Underground Railroad, and I've heard about that all my lifetime of various people that were heavily involved in that. I love that the restaurants and barns and all kind of places were involved in those. So you found some stories. What are the fascinating? What are some of the fascinating old buildings that you found around Adams County?
That's a good question. And probably one of the most fascinating buildings I found was Mansion House 1757, which is in Fairfield. It's now a restaurant and inn.
Yeah, I've seen that place.
Yes. So that dates back to 1757, as the name implies.
Wow. 1757.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. That's a big building.
So that's before even America was established.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing that a building lasted that long. So, what is something about the historical buildings that surprised you?
What surprised me was with the Mansion House 1757, not only did it have such a long history, but it was also a place that Dwight Eisenhower liked to dine at with
Really?
Mammy. And after
cool.
his death in 1969, Mammy used to meet there and play cards with her friends often.
1969, I was 8 years old. How did the process of writing this feature come together for you?
So it was actually Andy that came up with the idea.
All right, Andy.
Thank you. Liz carried it through spectacularly.
So first I thought about what I wanted the angle to be of the story, and I wanted to present like a diverse array of different types of buildings and structures around Adams County, and not just Civil War buildings.
Okay.
And so what I did was I did some research, and I looked at the buildings that were on Register of Historical Places, and I picked out quite a few of those, probably at least 20. I reached out to the owners of the establishments. A lot of them were private residences. Unfortunately, a lot of people did decline, but I continued on, and that's when I contacted Historic Gettysburg, Adams County for some help, and they were a great resource.
I'll bet they were.
And I had the pleasure of interviewing several people from the organization who helped me find some different buildings.
Why should we preserve all these buildings?
I think because it's important to remember our history and where we came from.
It really is. It really is. I mean, just the Civil War aspect is incredibly fascinating and full of so much life and so much of the heart and soul of Pennsylvania in that building of William Penn, and how he valued life, valued people. I think preserving the buildings is incredibly valuable for that and other reasons, for us to remember and to think back and to spend some time. Somebody said that people that come to Gettysburg are often exploring the soul of the nation, and I like that idea. I like them being here and exploring how evil is turned back. It is now a universal concept in American culture that slavery is a horrible thing. But at that point, it was so nebulous that people fought for both sides. Not always about slavery, of course. Some of them fought for other reasons. In fact, I heard somebody say that if you pulled a regiment of Southern troops, every soldier would have a different reason for why they're fighting for the South. That's probably true. But when we preserve parts of our past, and we have millions of people that come through this area every year to think about or to pray about or to meditate on how we got here, I think is incredibly valuable. And that's one of the values of preserving our buildings, I think. I don't think every building should be preserved, but certainly some should be. And there are probably hundreds of them here that need to be. So what do you know what goes into the decision for architectural preservation? Who decides and what decides, and how does that work?
So from what I understand, it depends on what happened there, like what's the history of it. If something significant happened there or something unique, then it's preserved.
Okay. That's interesting.
And it also depends on if the building can be salvaged as well. Like some of them are in such disarray that
some of them are pretty bad.
They can't be preserved, unfortunately.
Yeah. What buildings do you see getting preserved next? What are they going to preserve about our day?
So next is probably the Hopkins House, and that's on North Washington Street. That belongs to an African-American family that lived there in the 1800s, and it's a current project between Gettysburg History and the Lincoln Cemetery Project, and they're going to turn that into Gettysburg's first Black History Museum.
Okay. I wonder if the historic rural buildings, if there's still things that need to be unearthed in them. That would be incredibly fascinating to find. You think there are?
Oh yeah, only time will tell. I mean, people are still discovering Civil War soldiers' bones, artifacts like swords, and
Okay.
even stuff before that, like fossils.
What are the rules about those things? Do you happen to know?
So there's,
Like, don't you have to turn those over to somebody?
yes, the National Park Service. And obviously you can't go looking for them and metal detecting on the battlefield.
No, but even if you find them on your private property, they still have to be turned in?
Then I'm excuse me, I'm unsure of the legality of that.
Yeah. There's all kind of rules about this stuff. All I know is that.
Yeah, there's a lot of red tape
It's
behind it.
very complicated. I don't know what all those complications are, but it's really, really fascinating. Well, thank you for the work that you did on the historic rural buildings. I really appreciate that. It's fascinating stuff, all of
Gerry,
it.
let me do a joyous plug for that issue that Liz is in. Liz also she has the feature, the main cover story.
Please do.
It's her picture of the GAR house on the cover.
Okay.
So it's going to be almost an all Liz issue, almost.
Yeah.
But we have
All right, Liz.
We have other contributors. Richard Franke contributed to a couple of stories. I have a story in there as well. Just to finish the plug, Richard's doing a story on a bakery that's featuring student art. He's doing a story on a butcher that and how that butcher became known for its products.
Mm-hmm.
I have a story. Liz has also a story on a steam engine feature for a show coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a rundown on all the fairs and what's new, what's happening with South Mountain, Peach Fest, and other things. So it's a jam-packed issue.
This is not the regular Gettysburg Times. This is
the Adams Country section, which
Country.
which will be out next week. Well, we're taping a week before the pub date, but the pub date is June 17th. So look for it in the Gettysburg Times, June 17th.
Oh, wait a minute. Look for the Adams Country
Yeah.
in the Gettysburg
with
Times.
Liz's story and
17th.
then everything else, including that package.
Okay.
So it's a 20-pager. It's a good size package.
I've not seen the Adams Country magazine at all yet, so looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, check it out, June 17th. You can pick up a paper at the local convenience stores. Or
I'm going to be reading all Liz in that one.
Yeah, mostly.
Way to go, Liz. I appreciate that. Well, anything else from either one of you? Anything I missed? A question I should have asked? Something brilliant I missed out on?
One of these days we should get into a discussion on page 4, which is our editorial page. Everybody calls it the op-ed, but it's just the editorial page. And the reactions we get from the contributors, it's like it turns into a forum sometimes, or they're back and forth. But I often wonder if page 4 is the new front page. But we have a lot of readers that are very, very emotionally tied into that page and
Really?
read it religiously. I mean, really religiously. And,
Nice.
Which worries me because I do the best I can, but if they're going through with a fine-tooth comb, they're liable to find something that I missed. But
Yeah, sure.
but it's in a way it's a forum for political views, the left and the right. So the Civil War continues on page 4 of Gettysburg Times every day.
Nice. Very
So-
nice. That's awesome.
But that's the only thing I could say. Maybe one of these days we can do that and talk about what's happened and what's gone into that, what's gone into the thinking of how to set that page up. What we're trying to do as a theme, what we're trying to do as an overall, product. So we can get into that, but
That would be fascinating. I'll enjoy looking forward to that.
sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate it. For more information on any of the stories we talked about today, check out the Gettysburg Times or go to gettysburgtimes.com, and you can get to read the details that we missed out on today. Thanks. Have a great day.